caps, so forth. I defend the documents from official government. We have more than 20 million unemployed Americans in this United States. And they talk about job shortages and so forth, but if those who hire anyone who is not a U.S. citizen were required to pay the unemployment benefits of the Americans who applied for that job, and their house payments, and their medical expenses and so forth, because they wanted to hire that immigrant so badly. My promise to you is all of these shortages would disappear in a second. There are practically, and this is not an attempt to put down you and your magnificent heritage, your magnificent culture, your desire to succeed, which is incredible, your business gifts, your incredible talents, or anything like this. This is economics. And this is the terrible, terrible swift sword.
And believe me, I think economically speaking, time and time again, we will show that the immigrant community will contribute more than we will ever take. And if you stand by the numbers, I certainly, like I said, I respect your opinion. I think that the reality is a little different. I think that the numbers, for instance, the numbers you have currently in your hands, Caesar mentioned to you, are not accurately representative of what's going on based on the time of the year that they were taken. So I would suggest, and I'm not a mathematician, but I would suggest that if our research is done objectively, it will show that this country does benefit from the immigrant community of every nation. And when I talk about immigrants, please don't think I'm talking about Mexicans. I'm not talking about Latinos, Hispanics. I'm talking about immigrants, period. Because my job and my purpose is not to be here to help just the Latino, the Hispanic community. My job is to help the nation. And I think I serve that job, and I do my job by trying to unite everybody. Black, brown, white, yellow, it doesn't matter. If we can all actually work together, we can do a greater job than even the politicians can in fixing this economy, if we actually address the problems. And if we do away with these unfounded fears that have been placed, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, by big corporations that just like to see the communities divided because it's beneficial to them and it benefits their bottom line.
A lot of that. I agree.
How about we go with you and then just to be fair?
If you don't mind me asking,
Certainly.
How did you manage to pay for your schooling?
As I already mentioned at the beginning, I literally had to pick up cans on the side of the road. Pick up walnuts. I was fortunate enough, at age 22, I published my first book. Interestingly enough, nothing to do with the law. It's actually called Love, Sex, and Romance. It's a self-help romance book. So a little all over the place, but it helped. It ended up financially working out a little bit, so it helped me pay for law school. And I was fortunate enough to get a job at a local grocery store as a school to work employment. Basically, it was an internship that turned out into a job. In those days, it was prior to 9/11, and I was asked if I wanted to work. I said, unfortunately, I don't think I can work for you. They said, well, if you have a Social Security number, that's all we require from you. And so I did, like I said, and the record will show that I have paid taxes from day one of my life as a gainfully employed person. Ma'am, you had a question right behind. And
Yeah, I was wanted to ask you about, are you familiar with the DREAM Act
Most certainly, I'm familiar with the DREAM Act, AB 540. Sadly, I only went to high school 2 years, the last 2 years here in California. As you know, I don't qualify for the DREAM Act.
The reason I bring it up is my concern is, it's just gotten to the point where students don't have to pay the out-of-state tuition, and now the California funds have kicked in so they can claim those. The California state universities are allowing students to get fee waiver, and it's, I think, hopefully going to put a lot of well-qualified, interested, wonderful students through the system. And my worry is that they go through this education system and they get out, and then there's some other kind of racist legislation that comes out and says, well, you can't work now.
That's an excellent point, ma'am, and let me congratulate you for that, because that's a very keen observation on your part. That's been a concern I have raised in the past. I don't know what the numbers are, and I won't pretend to know how much is being put into the California DREAM Act, but I heard $14 million. So let's just play with that number for now. So we're going to spend $14 million to help these young people get through college a lot quicker, make it easier for them so they're more successful. Excellent. I'm all for that. I think that's a great idea. But I think it's extremely short-sighted, because when they graduate, when they are professionals, because they're undocumented, we're going to tell them, well, here's your diploma. Way to go. But you can work. You can pay us taxes, and therefore you can return the investment that we have placed on you. So I would say that's extremely short-sighted.
As a taxpayer, I really resent that.
I don't blame you. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to, my name is Nils Franco. I worked as a youth coordinator for the Obama campaign, and I'd just like to point out, in regards to your comment, because I think that it's a point that's brought up a lot in Congress and in Washington, D.C. in general, the point that, we don't want immigrants kind of mooching off our system, taking our benefits without paying, taxes and paying their fair share. I think that, and saying that it's a problem with the employers who are hiring these immigrants. I don't think that it's necessarily an employment issue. It's more of an immigration issue. When you reform our immigration system so that we get immigrants into tax-paying citizens who do the work that any other citizen would, who pay the taxes just like any other citizen. I think that when you make that kind of a reform that makes this process easily affordable without, considering the amount of hardship that these immigrants already have to go through. I think that when you see that reform come around, I think that will greatly benefit our nation, because I think that you will see an unemployment rate drop. Because what you're going to see is you're going to see all of these new positions. You're going to see new, if you look at from the perspective of Sergio, you're going to see new businesses pop up. Here's someone who's hiring people, making the money, putting in the tax money, and he's told no because of a system that's broken. And when we repair this system, that's going to bring economic renewal that is much needed in our country. My father is a Mexican citizen. He has his green card. He's a PhD, and he came here in 1959. And what we see is that these people who were given these opportunities because we didn't, prevent them from taking them, these people who were generally interested in furthering our country's interests, these people are giving to our country now. He works at CSUMB, he's worked at Michigan State, and these people will be beneficial to our country if we let them participate in our discourse. And I think that needs to be addressed in Washington and all around the country before we can do anything.
And that's kind of my goal, and that's why I continue traveling all throughout the country the best I can. Just to be fair, how about you?
It seems like throughout your whole life you have faced adversity. I would say more than the average individual, and you have seemed to overcome adversity at every corner, at every stage of your life. And now you have faced the biggest challenge, I believe, in your life, because now you can't practice what you have done what you have educated yourself for your career. And it seems you really have hit a roadblock. why is it important to keep going forward with this?
Listen, and the answer to that is simple. I most certainly do not wish what I'm going through on my worst enemy. Most certainly do not want somebody who has the drive and the dream and the determination to get out there and help society to ever go through what I'm going through. Having your life in limbo when it comes to my legal profession for 4 years, not being able to do what I love to do, having my life in limbo for 18 years plus when it comes to the immigration system, something I wouldn't wish on anybody. And if I can do anything to affect that and encourage that change and bring about discourse and dialogue that will be productive and not simply based on our prejudice or on our own ideals, then that's what I want to do. I think we are sadly out of time. I have really enjoyed being here. And I think we can certainly entertain some questions once I'm done here. But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your attendance. You have been great.
My name is Chris Marone. I'm also one of the founders of the Liberty Initiative, along with Angel Melchor, with Joyce, with Omar and Daniel. And we all just wanted to thank you guys for coming out to our first event. It's going to be the first of many. We're looking forward to putting on an event once every 6 or so weeks, and we'll continue to advertise more and get more out there to keep pushing the immigration issue along. One of the big things is that people come complacent. We get into groups and we're like, oh, I went to that one event in March, and it's now November again. So we want to make sure that we keep immigration on the forefront and we keep pushing, and keep getting community members involved as long as you're willing to stay involved. So once again, we'd like to thank Sergio for coming up all the way from Chico. Daniel was mouthing something to me. We have a website. It's thelibertyinitiative.org, spelled like it sounds. And we have a Facebook, it's the Liberty Initiative, and we'd just like to welcome you guys to come out and contact us. We're going to start holding public policy workshops where we're going to go through and research some of the best public policies we can for immigration to propose to our local electeds and push through to make sure that we're able to be seen in the community and to continue to push this fight for immigration. So once again, we have a little while left here in the building, but feel free to talk to Sergio after the event, and we'd like to thank again for everybody coming out tonight, and we appreciate it.